Now, back with me now is the host of the Ben Shapiro Show, Ben Shapiro. Ben, I look at this and I cannot help but think about Vice President J.D. Vance at Munich warning Europe, you have to get your act together. But it was a veiled warning as well to what is happening here at home in America.
There's no question about that. And one of the fascinating things that's been happening in Europe is the gigantic backlash to the maladministration of Angela Merkel, who was considered among Europeans the great leader of Europe for a long time. And then it turns out that her immigration policy, which didn't just usher in an enormous number of migrants into Germany, because of the EU and because of free travel among the EU countries, it meant mass immigration into wide parts of the EU. And the reaction has been from the right and then increasingly from even the left. If the left wishes to be successful in Europe, what they've realized is they, too, have to crack down on immigration. So the most successful left-wing party in Europe right now is the Social Democrat Party in Denmark, which has actually the harshest anti-immigration policy of any country in Western Europe right now. And that's the left, because they've recognized that they can't have a gigantic social welfare state as well as an integrated population so long as they are shipping in vast numbers of people from the third world who don't even speak their language.
Right. People have pointed out, Ben, that there's been this rightward shift in European politics from Hungary to other countries. But when you factor in Denmark, like you just did, and you show that the Social Democrats, the left-wing party, embraced this anti-migration stance, what you see is that's what's motivating Europeans. Hey, protect my culture, protect my society. Let's not have an invasion from outside populations. And that's something the Democratic Party in the United States has completely not understood. And that's how they found themselves, I think, in the wilderness.
I mean, that is one of the most astonishing things about the Democratic Party's handling of President Trump's victory. The most obvious thing they could easily do is simply disown the Joe Biden immigration policy that is a complete failure and ushered in, if not tens of millions, at least 9 to 10 million people into the United States illegally crossing the border. They could just say that was a terrible policy and we need to fix that. We need to solidify our borders. And then they could make whatever critiques they want of President Trump. But they can't seem to bring themselves to just say out loud what is perfectly obvious to all Americans, no matter what President Trump's approval ratings are on all these other issues. And there's been a lot of action on a lot of issues under the Trump administration. The most popular area for President Trump, day in and day out, is his immigration policy. And there's a reason for that. Americans do not want open borders.
You know, David Cameron, previous Prime Minister of England, he was warning about this, but everybody warned about it but did nothing. This is back in 2011, where he's talking about multiculturalism.
We've allowed the weakening of our collective identity. Under the doctrine of state multiculturalism, we've encouraged different cultures to live separate lives apart from each other and apart from the mainstream. We failed to provide a vision of society to which they feel they want to belong. We've even tolerated these segregated communities behaving in ways that run completely counter to our values.
That sounds exactly, Ben, like J.D. Vance. And again, to bring this home, right? It's about whether or not multiculturalism is antagonistic to assimilation. There is the issue of illegal immigration, but beyond that, even legal immigration brings up the issue of assimilation. Do you assimilate into the predominant society? And we do stories here on the Will Cain Show, Ben, about, for example, this epic city development, this Muslim development outside of Dallas. And this is not just a Texas story. It's happening in a lot of places. And for that matter, it's not just an Islam story. It could be a story of anyone who moves to the United States and chooses not to assimilate.
It's one of the most astonishing things, again, that people are pretending in the media, in the mainstream media, on the left, that somehow the assimilation of immigrants doesn't matter to the American story or shouldn't matter to the West more generally. You've seen this backlash to the Trump administration suggesting that, for example, Afrikaner refugees who are coming from South Africa, it might be easier to assimilate many of those people than it would be people from other parts of the world. Obviously, there are gradations of how easy it will be to assimilate people. If they speak English, like property rights and constitutional rights, yes, it might be easier to assimilate them than it would be people who have no idea about any of those things. In fact, Keir Starmer, again, as far left as you can go, said exactly the same thing. One of the standards he wants to implement with regard to immigration to Great Britain is that you have to speak English. Now, if you say that in America, apparently this makes you some sort of rabid right-winger. You can see the durability of President Trump because of the left's complete unwillingness to actually broach reality.
All right. Ben Shapiro, thank you, man. Check him out at The Ben Shapiro Show. Appreciate all the time, Ben.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.